The next step in spiritual formation is modeling and building and learning something that's different in order to enter into a new state of life. You see, as people grow and trust in God, other people will grow and trust in God. And Tom is saying you need to transition to a different mic. So I will do that. I am flexible. Are we good now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? So when I was in MYF, that's Methodist Youth Fellowship, they call it something different here, Ignite Student Ministries. But when I was in student ministries and going into middle school and high school, I knew that I was spiritually mature and I could handle middle school and high school. Right? And then I moved on to college and my first job and all of that after college, and I knew I was spiritually mature. And then I entered my 30s and 40s and realized that I was starting a new career and a family, and I was spiritually mature for that. And then I got to my 50s, and I finally just recently taken note that what I thought I knew in high school and middle school is a lot different than today. And then many of you have gone on in age differently than I have, and you've advanced in your years, and you know more than I know, and that's why some of you just laughed. Because you know a lot more than I do. But this is part of our maturity. This is part of what we do, and as Christians, we have to evolve the same way. So many of you know that you have to have huge faith. And we make choices, and some of them are good and some of them are bad, but the bottom line is that God is going to be with us every step of the way. So the third thing is to have confidence in that, have confidence in God. And thankfully, when you make those choices, you'll realize year after year, season after season, that you're not alone, and that we will come to and through that change with God. You know, some of us, we get love letters, and then others get divorce papers. Some of us get a thumbs up on social media, and others get that frowny face, or the thumbs down. Some will mourn the loss of a pet or a loved one, and others will get a new puppy. And then things happen for good, and others not so much. My son Justin is about to turn 21 years of age, so of course I've been thinking about him and the fact that when I was pregnant with him, I went into the hospital and they said, he's sideways and we're going to have to turn him. And they were unable to do that. So this is the kid that God gave me. He goes a different direction than I do sometimes. But the bottom line is I had confidence in God in the way that he was going to that he came into the world successfully. He made it here, and he got here, and he was fine, and he took a different journey than most. But there was confidence in God for his journey, and still is. You see, you have to have huge faith, and from that faith of our experiences and those things that we've experienced in the past, we come to know and love God. And it comes from those relationships that we build with the people that are sitting in the congregation with us. And it comes from the hearing of a melody from a hymn. It comes from seeing the smile on a stranger's face. It comes from touching someone's hand when we reach across the aisle and we sing the Lord's Prayer together, or they are laying in a hospital bed. It comes from smelling the fragrance of a meal being prepared in the church kitchen. And I'm a Methodist, and I like to meet and eat. And I'm excited about noon time with all of you. But when it comes to knowing that even when our senses don't know, God is always beside you, no matter which path leads to the next journey. So have confidence in God. My hope for this church and for Christ's church is that the congregation will become a place where people will learn from the Bible to remain flexible, have huge faith, and confidence in God. Where people maturing will see from one another their faith and trust in God and take notice. Where your faith will sustain you and to fuel this church for all the difficulties and challenges or hot topic discussions that come up, and have the kind of faith that characterizes all people living with one-minded love of God and love for one another, where each congregation will be full of hope for today and the future, and where the whole world is our congregation and our ministry extends to all people. John Wesley reminded people that we should not get stuck in thinking that God only shows up inside a church or inside the four walls of whatever box we put God in. God's presence and his activity in this world encompasses the whole world. And we're in mission and we're in ministry together wherever we go and to everyone. Church structures and its people will help us do ministry, but yet we're not confined to one place and one group of people. We are to share the good news of God's love and take it to all places. And God will continue to pull us and strengthen us in whatever work God has for us to do.